Welcome to the Surdshowto video for file sign-off. If you're watching this video, you should have watched the file submission and the file errors videos to understand how to submit a file, how to deal with errors, and how to make corrections. And once you've made all the file corrections and resubmitted the file, and you've reduced all the errors down to 0, and some of that could have been using overrides by DHE. So if there were errors as deemed by the website, but the data was correct and it was verified by your institution, DHE could have overridden some of the remaining errors to get the final error count down to 0. So let's go in here and take a look. Once again, I've logged into the Development College, and if you scroll down for these videos, we've been using the degrees granted file. So in this case, the full year 2012, we are down to 0 errors. So if we click on that, we can come in here, and if you recall from the previous file errors video, we had some errors. So in an example where we needed to get an error overridden, these errors have been overridden. So these errors 1101 regarding this particular error, it was an error, but DHE would have been contacted and explained the case that the data was correct and requested overrides, and upon verification the DHE agreed that everything was okay and overrode them. This is how the errors would appear. Instead of being in the error section, they'll be down under overrides, and they'll show that those 5 errors were overridden. So back on the main page, once you have 0 errors, the next step is to review the summary reports. And we're not going to spend a lot of time in this particular video covering the reports, but if you want to review the file summary reports, which are helpful in summarizing the file that was submitted to see the overall counts and so forth, this is where you click. Like I said, you can look at another video to cover the file summary reports. Alright, so once we're down to 0 errors and you want to sign off on the file, you can come over here and you'll see the status of the file is this lock. Now notice that it is unlocked, so it hasn't been locked at this point, and you still have a submit button. So if you did need to submit another file and make a correction, you could do that. But if you're ready and everything's complete, you can go ahead and click this sign off link here, which is the lock. Click that, it'll take you to a next screen where it summarizes that this is the CCHE CERD's final verification. It puts your username up there, the college, the file type and your degrees granted, full year 2012, the number of records, and it puts a statement of verification. This statement is the same for most of the files. It might be slightly different based on the file. For example, if you work with financial aid, there'll be a little more detail, including it'll summarize the number of state awards and so forth. But read that, just basically certifying that we agree that that data is being submitted and signed off is accurate. Click the continue button, and this is the last step here. Again, just recertifies everything about the file and your user information, and it just confirms that by clicking this you are finalizing the file and you are going to sign off on those number of records, and it's showing you this email that's going to be kicked off by the server to give you confirmation of this sign off. So we're going to go ahead and do that, sign off and send to DHE. Once we do that, you see that the file sign-off was successfully completed and the email was sent successfully. So if you get that confirmation, that means that it was complete. You can click back to main, and you go back to the main, and the sign-off is complete. Now if we go back in here, you can see that our degree file for full year 2012 still has 5 records, no errors, so forth, but no longer do we have a submit button. It now has a status of signed off, and you notice the icon of the lock is now in the locked position. So at this point you can no longer make any submissions, and if you need to make any corrections to the data, you have to contact DHE and work out the details of opening that file back up if it's still able to be submitted. So that's locking the file, and at that point the data does not change, and it is locked in our system, and that's the data that will be used for all the file reports going forward from the state, and that's the important step. So that's how you sign off on the file, and stay tuned for more videos.